I never thought I'd be the guy telling this kind of story, but here I am. It's a messed up situation, and honestly, I'm still trying to piece together how everything fell apart so quickly. I met Sarah about 3 years ago. She was the kind of woman who made your head spin. Bright, funny, beautiful, the kind of girl you'd see in a movie and think, yeah, she's the one. We moved fast, got engaged last year, and everything seemed perfect. Or at least that's what I convinced myself of at the time. We had a small apartment in the city, easy to keep clean, the kind that smelled like fresh coffee in the mornings and baked bread on weekends. I loved her, or I thought I did. We'd talk about the future, plan trips, dream about kids. It all felt solid. Until the night I found her phone. It started with a simple, dumb habit I've never broken, checking my messages before bed. I'd done it 1,000 times before, but that night was different. Something made me pause. Maybe it was the way her phone lit up in the dark, a message notification I'd overlooked. I reached over, instinct. Kicking in, I unlocked her phone without her noticing. My heart thudded like a drum, and there it was, the message thread. My stomach dropped, my palms got slick. I stared at the screen like it was a foreign language. It was from her brother, Mark. I knew they'd been close, but I never suspected anything beyond brotherly affection. I kept scrolling. The messages weren't just casual chatter. They were intimate, full of teasing, emojis, and promises that made my skin crawl. I saw "can't wait to see you later," followed by a photo, a blurry shot of her in bed, half-dressed, turned toward the camera. That was her unmistakably. My head spun. I mean, I'd always trusted her, trusted family. It was the kind of betrayal that punches you straight in the gut and leaves you gasping. I felt my chest tighten like I'd been punched there too. I closed her phone, feeling a cold sweat break out on my forehead. I looked at her sleeping beside me, unaware. It was surreal. How could she do this? How could she betray me, and with my own brother of all people? I didn't wake her up that night. I just sat there clutching her phone, trying to process what I'd seen. Every breath I took was shaky, my stomach twisting knots I couldn't undo. I kept thinking about how maybe I missed the signs, the little things that seemed off, the moments I brushed off as insignificant. But now, looking at that thread, I realized I'd missed the biggest red flag of all. The next morning, I woke up early. I didn't wake her, but I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I knew I had to confront her, or at least understand what I was dealing with. The thing was, I needed to see her reaction face to face to get some kind of answers. I remembered the ring on her finger, the promises she made about us. It felt like a cruel joke now. That's when I decided I'd go through with my plan, one I'd been cooking up in my head all night. I'd confront her, and if I had to, I'd expose everything. The first step was digging deeper, finding more evidence, more proof. I went through her emails, her social media, anything I could get my hands on. I wasn't just angry, I was hurt, betrayed, and I needed to make damn sure I wouldn't be the fool who got played. I found more messages, hidden behind code words, secret accounts, and false privacy settings. The picture was crystal clear now. She'd been cheating on me for weeks, maybe longer, and her brother was right in the middle of it all. I felt this strange mix of rage and emptiness. It was a cold, hollow feeling in my chest, like I'd been hollowed out. I had no choice but to act. I couldn't face her again without knowing she'd lied to my face every day. The plan I settled on was simple but effective. I'd confront her with the evidence, then I'd decide how to end this nightmare. I wasn't going to be some fool who got played. Not anymore. I sat down, hands trembling, and drafted a message. Something no one ever wants to send, but I knew I had to. "We need to talk, now." I added a screenshot of the messages, just enough to cut through her denial. I was ready to face her, ready to hear whatever lies she'd spin. But honestly, I knew nothing could prepare me for what I'd find in the coming hours. Now I'm sitting here, the message sent, staring at my phone, waiting for her to reply. The air's thick with silence, and I can feel my pulse pounding against my ribs. I want to scream. I want to break something, but mostly I want the truth. And I know deep down that this is only the beginning. I didn't sleep that night after I sent the message. Every minute felt like a punch to the gut, waiting for her reply. My stomach was twisted in knots, and I kept replaying that damn conversation in my head. Her words, the photos, the way her voice would probably sound if she tried to deny it. I knew she'd come running with some excuse, some lie that she'd think would make me forgive her, But I wasn't naive anymore, not after what I'd seen. Finally, her reply came just after dawn. It was short, defensive, and full of the typical bullshit. "We need to talk. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for you to find out this way. Please just give me a chance to explain." It made me want to throw my phone across the room. I could almost hear her begging, her voice trembling. That's when I realized I wasn't going to get an honest explanation, not from her. I'd already seen enough. I got up, took a deep breath, and decided I had to see her face to face. I needed to hear her out, but more importantly, I needed to tell her exactly what I thought of her betrayal. I grabbed my coat, my keys, and headed to her apartment. The air outside was cold and sharp, a kind of bitter reminder that everything I believed in was dissolving into nothing. When I arrived, she was waiting in the doorway, her eyes red, cheeks streaked with tears. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept either. Her voice was shaky as she tried to say something, but I cut her off. "Save it," I said, voice rough. "I saw the messages, the photos, don't even bother. I trusted you with everything, Sarah. I thought we had something real. Turns out I was just a fool." Her lips trembled. "Please, I can explain." "No," I snapped. "There's nothing to explain. You cheated on me. With my brother. Do you understand what that means? You betrayed everything we were supposed to be." She looked away, tears falling freely now. "It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen." "Stop," I interrupted. "Don't lie to me. I saw the messages. I saw your phone. I know everything." My voice cracked, but I kept it steady. "You want to explain, fine, but I'm done pretending. I'm done trusting you." She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "Don't," I said coldly. "You lost that right the moment I found out. You're lucky I'm not throwing you out right now." Her voice broke. "Please don't do this. I love you. I swear it was a mistake." "Love?" I almost laughed. "You want to talk about love? I think you've got a funny way of showing it." I looked her straight in the eyes. "This isn't just a mistake. This is a betrayal on a level I never thought possible. You've shattered everything I believed in, and I swear I'm going to make you regret it." She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. I stood there, feeling my chest tighten so bad I thought I'd suffocate. I knew I had to leave before I said something I'd regret. I turned around and walked out, my mind already racing with the next steps. As I drove away, I knew I couldn't just walk away. I'd been patient, naive even, thinking I could fix this somehow. But now, I realized I'd been played, not just by her but by my own trust. The betrayal was too deep and I was done being the fool. I needed a plan, a way to end this once and for all. The first thing I did when I got home was to start gathering everything I'd need. Hidden messages, her phone, my own documents. I was going to make sure she couldn't deny a thing, but I also needed to think bigger, about how I was going to hurt her back, not with violence but with something that hit her where it hurts the most. Her reputation, her dignity. That's when I realized I had the perfect plan. I wanted her to feel what I was feeling, like the ground was shifting beneath my feet. I'd make her regret the day she ever crossed that line. I'd turn the betrayal against her in a way she'd never see coming, because if she thought she could cheat and walk away, she was dead wrong. I was done being the betrayed husband. Now I was about to become the one who made her pay. The more I sat with everything I'd uncovered, the clearer my plan got. I didn't want to just confront her again or yell until she cried. I wanted her to feel the full weight of what she'd done. I spent the next few days meticulously setting this up, keeping my cool and plotting how to turn her world upside down without crossing any lines that would make me look like a lunatic. I needed to be smart, calculated. Revenge, yes, but in a way that she'd never forget. I started by digging into her social media accounts, setting up a fake profile. It was surprisingly easy, just a few hours of creating a new email, a convincing profile picture, and a story that matched her interests. I kept it casual at first, messaging a few strangers, pretending to be someone who might catch her attention. I wanted her to think she was still desirable, still wanted. And sure enough, after a day or two, she took the bait. One night, her phone buzzed with a new notification. I saw her glance at it, her face flickering with a mixture of curiosity and guilt. She knew exactly what I was doing. I played it cool, pretending I wasn't watching. When she finally opened the message, her eyes widened in shock. It was from my anonymous account, sending her a simple note. "I saw what you did. You're a hypocrite, Sarah. You're nothing but a liar and a cheat. Be careful you're not as clever as you think." She stared at the phone like it was a grenade. Her hands shook as she read it again. "What the hell is this?" she whispered, voice trembling. I couldn't help but smirk. She was already starting to crack, and I hadn't even revealed half of what I'd planned. Seeing her that rattled was the sweetest victory I'd had in days. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "That's just the start. You want to play innocent. We'll see how long you can keep that up." The next step was the phone calls. I'd set up a series of anonymous messages, making her think someone was onto her, someone who knew everything. I wanted her to feel watched, paranoid, untrustworthy. I sent her a note that said, "I know about your secret. You're not as smart as you thought. Watch your back." She didn't reply immediately, but her anxiety was obvious. She'd been caught and she knew it. I also spent a good deal of time researching how to make her life uncomfortable without crossing into illegal territory. No hacking into her accounts, no stalking her physically. Just enough pressure to make her regret her choices. I found some fake accounts on local gossip forums where I started posting vague rumors about her. Nothing explicit, just enough to make her look bad if anyone connected the dots. I kept it subtle. A comment here, a post there. Nothing overt, but enough to make her suspicious. The best part, I planted a few of her personal belongings in places I knew she'd find them. A piece of her jewelry, a note she'd written to herself, a favorite hoodie she always wore. Nothing incriminating, but enough to make her question herself, to make her paranoid. I wanted her to feel constantly watched, second-guessed, vulnerable. This wasn't about revenge alone. It was about making her realize the trust she broke was gone for good. All the while I kept her in the dark, played the calm, collected husband who was just trying to pretend everything was normal. I even offered her a chance to come clean, to admit she'd been unfaithful. She refused, of course. Her pride wouldn't let her, but I could see her unraveling. One evening she finally broke down during dinner. Her face was pale, eyes darting around nervously. She looked like a cornered animal. I asked her if she wanted to talk, but she just shook her head. "You've been lying to me," I said softly. "I know everything, and I mean everything. The messages, the secret accounts, the rumors. You're not going to get away with it." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Please, I didn't mean for it to get this far. I was stupid, I was weak. Don't ruin everything." "That's exactly what you did," I said, voice cold. "You ruined us, and I'm going to make damn sure you regret it." Now she was panicking. Her hands trembled as she tried to deny everything, but her eyes betrayed her. She knew she was trapped, cornered by her own lies. Her world was crumbling around her, and I was just getting started. I could see the fear in her face, the realization that she'd pushed me too far. I was about to confront her with the final, decisive move, something that would strip her of her dignity. But for now, I kept my cool. I needed her to feel the weight of her betrayal, to understand that I was no longer the naive husband she thought she could manipulate. The game was on, and she was losing fast. The tension in the apartment was thick enough to cut with a knife. Every time she looked at me, I saw the flicker of panic behind her eyes, like she was waiting for the inevitable fall. I played it cool, but inside my mind was racing. I knew I had to go all out soon, to hit her where it would hurt the most, without crossing the line into outright illegal territory. I was careful, calculating. I wanted her to feel helpless, exposed, and most of all, humiliated. That night I sat on the couch, pretending to relax, while my mind spun through every detail of my revenge plan. I'd already planted the seeds with her paranoia, but now I needed the final act, something that would make her regret her actions deeply, and I decided that I'd turn her own betrayal into her downfall. I'd been watching her reactions, listening to her hesitant whispers when she thought I wasn't paying attention. She was trying to cover her tracks, but it was obvious she was losing control. It was time to escalate. I logged into the fake social media account I'd created, an anonymous profile that looked like a girl who might be interested in her. I crafted a message, something casual but provocative. "Hey, I saw your pics, you look good, maybe we could meet up sometime." I sent it, waited, and then watched her face go pale when she saw the notification. Her hands trembled as she opened the message. She looked around, then quickly tried to delete it, but I'd made sure that the message was saved, just in case. She looked like a deer caught in headlights. "Who the hell is this?" I asked calmly, voice steady but cold. She spun around trying to brush it off. I don't know, someone messing with me. You're lying, said, voice sharper now. I saw what you did, you're cheating, Sarah, and I don't even think you're that clever about hiding it anymore. Her eyes filled with tears and she clutched at her hair. Please don't do this, I love you, I swear. No, I cut her off. You love who, your brother or some stranger? You think I didn't see the messages, the photos, the secret accounts? You played me like a fool and now I'm going to show you what that feels like. She stared at me, raw pain etched on her face. You're overreacting, it's just what? I interrupted sharply. Just a silly mistake. You think I don't know how long this has been going on? You've been lying to me every day and I'm sick of it. Her voice broke. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was confused. It was a mistake, I swear. Stop, I said, voice trembling with rage. You're not going to convince me anymore. I've seen enough. And I've got one last thing for you. I reached into my bag and pulled out a small recording device I'd secretly installed a few days earlier. I pressed play. The room filled with her own voice, whispering to her brother about their secret meetups, her plans, her betrayal. Her eyes widened in horror as the truth hit her in the face. That's what you've been hiding, I said quietly, almost a whisper. You thought you were smart, didn't you? You thought I wouldn't find out, but I did. And now the world's going to know exactly what kind of person you are. She sank onto the couch, trembling, clutching her stomach as if she'd just been punched. Please don't do this. I can fix it. I'll do anything. No, I said, voice firm. You've already done enough damage. Now it's my turn. The plan I had in mind wasn't immediate revenge, not yet. It was about making her see exactly how far I was willing to go. I knew the power of public exposure, of watching her lose her reputation, her friends, her family's respect. That's where I was headed. I took out my phone and drafted a message. I sent it to some mutual friends, colleagues, anyone who needed to know the truth. I included snippets of the evidence, screenshots, recordings, the whole story. I wanted her to see her life unravel in real time, her face twisted in despair. You're going to ruin me. Ruin you? I repeated sharply. No, I'm just making sure you understand the gravity of what you did. You made your choice. Now I'm just making sure everyone else knows it too. That night I felt the power shifting. She was broken and I was in control. It was a strange feeling, this dark satisfaction, mixed with a bitter taste of what I'd lost. But I knew what I had to do next. The final step in my revenge was coming, and when it arrived, she'd never forget it. I looked at her, helpless, crying, defeated, and I realized I was finally taking back what she'd stolen from me. My dignity, my respect, my peace of mind. And I'd make sure she paid for every second of this betrayal. The days that followed felt like walking on thin ice. Every time I saw her, her eyes begged for forgiveness, but I was done giving her that. I'd set the wheels in motion, and now it was just a matter of waiting for everything to fall apart on her. I kept the pressure constant, sending more messages, posting more false rumors in local forums, and making sure her name was everywhere she didn't want it to be. It was like slowly turning the screws, tightening until there was no escape. She became more frantic, more paranoid. Little things started to slip. She'd leave her phone on the table, forget to delete some message, or stumble over her words when she tried to explain herself. The look in her eyes was pure panic now, like she realized she was losing control. I loved it. Not in a sick way, but I couldn't deny the rush of seeing her suffer just a little. She'd betrayed me, and now I was making sure she paid. One evening she came into the living room, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. Her hands trembled as she looked at me. Look, I'm sorry, can't we just talk? I'll do anything to fix this. I leaned back, crossing my arms. Anything, really? Because I've got a list starting with you admitting everything. No more lies. Her voice cracked. I already said I made a mistake, that's all it was. A mistake? Oh, really? I smirked. Because I've got hours of recordings, messages, screenshots. You've been lying for weeks, Sarah. You think I didn't see the pattern? She looked down, silent. I could see the guilt, the shame mounting in her eyes. Good, that was the goal. I wanted her to feel exposed, vulnerable, powerless, all that she'd tried to hide from me. Here, what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to tell your parents, your friends, everyone who needs to know. You're going to confess everything, and I'll be watching to make sure you keep your word. Because if you think you can just apologize and walk away, you're dead wrong. She nodded, eyes brimming with tears. I'll tell the truth, I swear. I shook my head, feeling a dark satisfaction. No, Sarah, you'll do better than that. You'll make it public, because I want the world to know who you really are, the woman who cheated on her fiancé and lied to his face. That's the only way you'll truly understand what you've lost. She looked like she wanted to argue, but the truth was, she knew I had her cornered. Her face was pale and her shoulders sagged. That's when I handed her a small stack of printed evidence I'd compiled, the screenshots, the recordings, the messages. Take this. It'll remind you what you're about to do or what you're about to lose. She took it with trembling hands, clutching the papers as if they were a lifeline. I'm sorry, she whispered, voice barely audible. I really am. Sorry doesn't fix what you've done, I said, voice cold. But it's a start. That night I sat back and watched her scramble. Her social media was already flooded with questions and accusations. Her friends called, her family demanded answers. She was drowning, and I felt a strange kind of relief. She earned it. I'd spent days setting this all up just so she'd see her own reflection in the mess she made. The thing was, I didn't just want her to suffer temporarily. I wanted her to feel the humiliation, public, undeniable, and permanent. She'd crossed lines I never thought anyone would, and I wasn't going to let her walk away unscathed. I made sure the evidence was everywhere, on her social media, through email, even in some local gossip groups. Her reputation was taking a hit, and I could see the cracks forming in her perfect little world. It was almost funny how fast everything unraveled. Her job, her friends, her family. Once the truth was out, they all turned away from her. I knew she'd be haunted by this forever, and honestly, I didn't care. I'd already moved past the pain, already started to reclaim what was mine. My dignity. I got a message from her that night, weak and trembling. Please, I want to talk. I just replied, there's nothing left to say. You made your choice, Sarah. Now you have to live with it. I didn't bother to read her reply. I already knew she'd regret it for the rest of her life. I finally decided this was the moment to finalize everything. I grabbed the keys to her apartment and her wedding ring. I was going to hand over the keys, end this chapter for good. I knew she'd never forget what happened, and honestly, I didn't want her to. I wanted her to remember forever that she pushed me to the edge, and I pushed back harder. This was the end of us, once and for all. And as I handed over her keys, I felt a strange sense of relief. Sometimes you have to destroy what's broken to finally start healing. That evening, I sat in my car outside her apartment building, the keys trembling slightly in my hand. The air was thick and heavy, the kind that makes your chest feel compressed, like the weight of everything I'd uncovered and endured. I took a deep breath, feeling the cool breeze brush past, and looked up at the window where her silhouette was faintly visible. She was inside, probably trying to make sense of what was happening, her life, her reputation, her entire world crumbling around her. I knew I had to do it. No more delays, no more second-guessing. I reached over and opened the glove compartment, pulling out the small, wrapped box I'd prepared earlier. Inside was her wedding ring. I looked at it for a long moment, so shiny, so perfect on her finger, before I slipped it into my pocket. Today was the day I finally took the last piece of her away, the piece she had once worn with pride, with love. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming myself, about ending the illusion that everything was okay. I was tired of feeling betrayed, tired of feeling like I owed her anything after what she'd done. It was done, over. I got out of the car, walking to her door with purpose. My footsteps echoed in the quiet night, my heart pounding in my ears. I knocked once firmly. No answer. I knocked again, louder this time. Still silence. I pulled out the keys I'd kept, unlocking the door and pushing it open. The apartment was empty, but everything looked the same. Clothes strewn on the couch, her perfume lingering faintly in the air, a picture of us on the wall. It all felt like a ghost town, a reminder of what once was. I stepped inside, and with deliberate calm, I moved toward the small table where her purse sat. I reached in, pulling out the keys to her place, the documents, and her phone. One last act. I placed the keys in her purse, then looked around, taking it all in. The betrayal, the lies, the broken promises, they all flashed through my mind like a flickering slideshow. I glanced at her phone, hesitating for a moment, then pressed the power button. It lit up in my hand, the screen glowing with unread messages, missed calls, and notifications. I scrolled through her messages, more evidence of her deception, more betrayal that I'd already uncovered. I knew I wouldn't need to do anything more with it. I'd already made my point. Finally, I took the wedding ring from my pocket, feeling the cool weight of it in my palm. I looked at her photo again on the wall. I'd loved her once, believed in us. But now I saw clearly what she was, a woman who betrayed her vows, her brother, and everything we built together. I carefully slipped the ring onto her pillow, right beside her picture. It was a silent, final gesture, an offer of forgiveness I'd never give, and a reminder that I was walking away with dignity intact. I left the apartment quietly, closing the door behind me for the last time. As I walked to my car, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. The betrayal had shattered everything, but I finally understood that some things, some people, aren't worth fighting for. I might have lost her, but I gained my strength back. I had taken control, ending the nightmare on my terms. Driving away, I realized how much lighter I felt. The anger, the hurt, the confusion, they all started to lift. I looked at the night sky, clear and vast, and knew that I'd be okay. Not just okay, but stronger. Because sometimes the only way to move forward is to cut the dead weight and walk on alone. And that's exactly what I did.